A very good morning. Happy St. Patrick's Day. It is Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. I'm going to do the whole thing, the whole broadcast in a brogue, a really bad one. We're going to take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. I know, is that misappropriating a brogue? To kick things off, meteorologist Mike Favetta. Today, he's Mike O. Favetta with the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
So, how does it feel to be Irish for a day?
It feels nice. It feels
Isn't
good,
it great?
right?
I think of Irish Spring soap.
Oh, do you?
God
It's
bless
the
the
first.
Irish.
It's the first St. Patrick's Day in our little quaint Irish town here. A lot of Irish
Ah,
immigrants here. It was funny. Like we couldn't schedule the house viewing over the summer because the realtor was in Ireland. I was like, okay, that's like they go back and forth all the time. So it's really off the boat Irish. It's exciting.
I have to ask you, what the hell passed over us last night?
Oh, it was a big storm. And the wind this morning, Ken. The wind. Yeah, it was the leprechauns coming in for today. Leprechauns coming in for today. A lot of wind and gusts well over 60 miles per hour. Didn't see any tornadoes reported. I'll double check. But with the impressive amount of wind that was coupled with that rain, you see it. All of the storms now out to sea, but lots of wind pointing to very, very colder conditions today. Then, of course, we had quite a bit of warmth throughout the day yesterday. That warmth continues and, in fact, expands out west there in California. So, out east here, we just have this record cold that sets up going into today. I don't think it's the chilliest part of the week today. It's certainly the windiest part with those gusts lasting through the afternoon. But those kilts there, right through the afternoon on Fifth Avenue for the parade. Oh, yeah, they're going to be blowing, especially into the end of the day with those gusty conditions. The chill lasts right through the rest of this week. It's beautiful and sunny today. Maybe some clouds return by tomorrow with another weak front pushing through into Friday, but most of that clears through and brings back another round of chilly weather upcoming this weekend. So the futurecast, while clear today, you see these thin strips of cloud cover that move on by, maybe by the evening, possibly a flake or a flurry burst down the shore. All of that gives way to mostly sunny skies again tomorrow. And then by Thursday, we could see a light round of rain into Thursday night. But that's in terms of rainfall. That's all we've got for the rest of the week. So looking a little bit better after so much wind and rain last night. That wind persists today, however, Ken, with those gusty conditions and much colder conditions.
Did Mike just freeze? Look at that. So we right at the end of the four. You couldn't freeze up a signal at a better time. Okay, we'll have Mike reboot his signal. Anyway, yes, Mike is right. It was nasty, and it is cold and windy now. 33 degrees northern New Jersey, 32 in Trenton, and it's amazing that we had 65 degrees like 25 hours, 26 hours ago. It's crazy that the temperature dropped like that. All right, in terms of Los Angeles right now, it is much milder, 58 degrees. Today it's supposed to go up way into the 90s. So nice and hot. A little too hot for most, but actually it's 63. They just updated the temperature in LA. All right, we have a lot going on in traffic. Crash on I-78 eastbound west of exit 24, which is Reddington Township, right lane closed. We have an overturned vehicle there, and there you could see all the little brake lights going on. We have an overturned vehicle, 1 and 9 northbound, north of Route 35 to south of Randolph Ave in Woodbridge, all lanes closed. Crash on the turnpike inside the entry of Interchange 2, which is down in Woolwich Township. We have a disabled vehicle, turnpike by the express lane southbound at exit 72A Fort Lee with a right lane block there. And then we have a bunch of power failures to tell you about. This one is on Route 29 northbound south of Route 579 Sullivan Way in Trenton. So that part of town has no power. That means the lights are out and everything else. So just be careful when you get to the intersections. Remember, you defer to people to your right. Everyone should come to a stop at an intersection. If there's no traffic light, defer to the person to your right as a rule. Or if you got there first, then they should defer to you. But if you both get there at the same time, it's the person to your right. Down pole. Route 57, both directions, west of Route 643, Asbury by Broadway Road. That's in Franklin Township. Over to Hillsborough Township, there's a down pole on 206. blocking both directions at Brooks Road. Another down pole, Route 45 by Route 40 in Pilesgrove Township. This is a lot of southern New Jersey stuff, obviously. And on it goes. Malfunctioning traffic light, Route 38 eastbound, Smithville Road in Southampton Township, all lanes open. It goes on, another 10. We don't have time, literally, in this report. We'll get it for the next. But it seems that toward the southern part of the state, you have way, way worse situations with down poles, et cetera, than in the north. But nonetheless, just beware. You're going to have a lot of out traffic lights, et cetera. The Hudson River situation, if you look at the Lincoln and Holland, they're both talking 35 minutes. GWB upper and lower levels. Let's take a look now. Pretty slow, but moving. It's going to cost you about 30 minutes getting into Manhattan at this hour, which is really not too bad. The upper level will buy you, give you a little extra time. It'll get you there a little faster. That's on the right. Lower level is on the left. So if you're going to do that, you might want to just take the lower level. We look at Los Angeles, just one or two right now that we have at this early hour. Remember, it's only 4:07. And there's a car fire reported in central LA on the 5 at the 15. And then we have a traffic collision reported in Newhall at the 210 and McClay Street. European allies are reluctant to join U.S. efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The waterway was disrupted after the U.S. conflict with Iran. President Trump urged NATO partners to help secure the route, but when asked, said the U.S. doesn't need anybody else to win the fight. Several countries urged that diplomacy should come first. Unfortunately, Iran never got that message, saying they would never even consider speaking with the U.S., all while their nuclear bomb program was all but completed. They could have had 11 fully equipped nuclear bombs ready to go on intercontinental missiles that would have hit just about all of Europe and maybe even parts of the U.S. As has been the case for decades, European countries have been reticent to get involved in anything military, including to defend themselves, instead relying on the U.S. to fight their battles for them. And that is part of the problem. You want to know why they have socialism? They can afford free everything for everyone? It's because you and I are paying for their military defense. Hundreds of Cuban Americans lined the streets of West New York and Union City yesterday, celebrating word that President Trump may be close to helping the leadership in Cuba to collapse. Meanwhile, Trump said the U.S. could soon reach a deal with Cuba, or if they don't want to reach a deal, we could take some other actions. The comments come as tensions between Washington and Havana remain high. Cuba's current dictator, Miguel Diaz-Canel, said Friday that the country had opened talks with the U.S. now that it is starved of oil and gas and the island has had no electricity for months. Diaz-Canel said that he hoped the negotiations would move the two longtime rivals away from confrontation. The country's economic crisis has worsened since it was cut off from free Venezuelan oil shipments. Venezuela used to give Cuba oil. Cuba would give ousted Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro a personal army to protect him from his own Venezuelan people. Now that Maduro is in U.S. custody, the oil deal is off, and Cuban citizens are paying the price, unfortunately. All that'll change, though, if their regime just switches sides and becomes an ally of the U.S. Well, the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, announced that she's been diagnosed with breast cancer. Doctors detected the cancer early, and she says the prognosis is good. Wiles will continue serving the White House during treatment. President Trump and members of the cabinet have publicly offered her support. What do they say about not being entitled to your own truth? Somebody needs to talk to California's governor, Gavin Newsom. He was recently roasted for making an extraordinary claim that Florida and Texas, not California, are the, quote, real high-tax states. Really, Governor? Newsom made the claim on stage at the South by Southwest conference Sunday in Austin, where he claimed that the poor people in Texas are taxed more than the wealthiest people in California. Where do you get that stat? He then added that Florida is the other regressive tax state. Here's a fact check. Florida and Texas have zero state income tax. California's state income tax, 13.3%. So Newsom's logic is, it's not fair that billionaires in Florida and Texas don't have to pay state income tax, just like the poor people don't. In other words, it's not that everybody's paying too much. It's that the people who shouldn't be paying aren't paying, but the people who should be paying also aren't paying. So in some sick, twisted way, that's the way Governor Newsom looks at taxes as being unfair in Texas and Florida. Okay. Meanwhile, everything's working. Nobody's paying income tax. Go figure. It's 10 minutes after 7 East Coast, 4:10 West Coast. An Afghan national with a criminal record in the U.S. illegally died in a hospital after being detained by ICE. Afghani Mohammed Nazir Pakhtiwal had been arrested near his home in Richardson, Texas, while taking his kids to school. Well, family members say he worked with U.S. forces in Afghanistan before moving to the U.S. in 2021, but his legal status had only been granted temporarily, and ICE said that he had been arrested for snap fraud and theft, which should get him kicked out. His death now being investigated. And at one point, he was one of the most prominent faces of the U.S. Border Patrol. Now, former Commander at Large Greg Bovino is retiring. Bovino stirred up a lot of headlines after leading the surge on illegal aliens in Minnesota. President Trump reassigned him to the position of Chief Patrol Agent for the El Centro sector. And rare earth minerals are needed for lots of modern luxuries like electric vehicles, smartphones, and the like. Well, now it looks like Texas may be a real big source. A rare earth mining project is being developed at the Round Top deposit, the site considered one of North America's richest heavy rare earth sources. And officials say the project could reduce U.S. dependence on China's mineral supply. Officials in Texas say it could generate billions in tax revenues and would help boost national security. Excuse me for my pauses and my swallows. I'm fighting the onslaught of a cold and a cough, and I'm holding back the cough by those little pauses. It's coming up on 13 minutes past the hour. When we return, today may be St. Patrick's Day, but Thursday is St. Joseph's Day. The good folks, excuse my turn of the head, the good folks from Uncle Giuseppe's. Oh, let me make sure I got that straight. Uncle Giuseppe's. I love them. We'll be here in just a moment to share some holiday sweets. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato live on the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, and on the West Coast, Los Angeles, San Diego. We're coming back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato for your Tuesday, live in New Jersey and New York. And now we welcome Los Angeles at 15 minutes past the hour. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta on this St. Patrick's Day has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
You know, Mike,
Mm.
St. Patrick cast the snakes out of Ireland. He also He also cast a few people out of a bar down the street from near me, but that's a whole
Mm-hmm.
other story on a whole other show. I was a former priest, so I think I'm allowed to say stuff like that, tongue in cheek. But
Sure.
today, we're also going to celebrate. You have a name like Favetta, I have a name like
Mm-hmm.
Rosato, and there is a day coming up in 2 days from now. It's called
Yes.
St. Joseph's
Yes.
Day. In fact, Pam, our
Isn't?
director, said, "Who's St. Joseph?"
Oh boy.
Ever hear of? You ever hear of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph? He would be Jesus's stepfather. Jesus called him daddy. She says, I'm Pentecostal too.
Isn't there a place, and I think we might, isn't there a place where if you have the name Joseph, you get a free St. Joseph pastry? I
I
think there
believe
is
that
one.
place
I
is Uncle
think,
Giuseppe's
I think it
with
is. I think it is.
with 12 locations currently open and several more
Mm-hmm.
coming in the months ahead. And we're going to have our good friend on from I was going to say San Giuseppe from Uncle Giuseppe's in just a few minutes, and he brought some St. Joseph's pastries.
Very
Just saying.
exciting.
I'm
Very
sorry to
exciting.
interrupt
Yep.
your forecast. We had a
No,
nasty
no, no.
rolling through. What was the winds were like 60 miles an hour last night?
71. 71 mile per hour gust.
Wow.
I know. Yes, that will blow your toupee off. 71 mile per hour gusts down toward, not to say that you have one. Full head of hair can confirm that. 71 mile per hour. It'll blow your what is that? The Irish cap. The Irish cap right off your head with the gusts that were reported at Newark last night, just after midnight. So very gusty winds. Now the winds on the gustier side today, but blowing from the west and providing that very dry and colder feel this morning to dry things out quickly. Over the next couple of days, it's going to be sunny. There'll be some clouds returning by Thursday into Friday, but the weekend is a bit cloudy as well, with temperatures cooling off closer to average back into the 50s. It's all about the big heat out west. After we had our storms last night, we're quiet the rest of this week, but this surge of heat that works up the California coast is really the big story that will be providing record highs and temperatures in the hundreds down to the desert southwest. So again, back here in New Jersey, keeping an eye on another round of wind today after so much rain last night. And even the pollen, although we got a break from the rain last night, the allergies are really becoming an issue over the next few days, especially for the tree pollen, which remains moderate and likely will do so over the next few days. You can already see the buds on the trees beginning. Sign that spring is here, officially beginning on Friday. We'll talk more about that with the check of your forecast, Ken, coming up in the next few minutes.
You know what I'm doing right now, Mike?
Massaging the sphingy.
Yes, my spingy. These are spingy. These are like cream puffs. Well, I'm blowing the lead here. These are Italian St. Joseph's Day pastries, but they're similar to cream puffs, but a lot better. That's all I'll say. And we're going to talk
Mm,
to somebody about it now. Mike, thank you very much,
you
sir.
bet.
I'm going to put some aside for you, I promise. And I won't breathe my cold germs on them. We should do traffic first. We have temperature 62 degrees in Los Angeles. We have 32 in Trenton, and it is 33 in northern New Jersey. Wind's still kicking up, and it feels cold because of the wind. In terms of traffic, let's go to I-78 right now. Eastbound west of exit 24, Oldwick Road in Reddington right now. The left lane is closed. You can kind of see on the right side, up above, it's not too bad. Left lane is closed, and I think the people are slowing down more because of the sun in their eyes than anything else. But nonetheless, that is a crash to report. We have power failures in a lot of the areas, especially towards southern New Jersey. So we have a power failure, Route 29 northbound, south of Sullivan Way in Trenton. All lanes are open. Down pole on Route 57, both directions, west of Route 643, Asbury Broadway Road in Franklin. All lanes are closed. Another down pole, and somebody said to me recently, is it a down pole or a downed Ukrainian? It's another down pole. I'll let you think about that. And this is on Route 206, both directions south of Brooks Boulevard, Hillsborough Township. All lanes are closed. Another down pole. Route 45, both directions in Pilesgrove Township. All lanes are closed. Two more to report. One on 206, both directions in Princeton, and one on Route 31, both directions in Woodville, or on Woodville Road in Hopewell Township. It's a mess. A lot of that from all the high winds Mike was talking about. Hudson River crossings right now. Lincoln and Holland are both costing 35 to 40 minutes in. Look at the GWB upper and lower level, and you'll see it's just jammed. It's stopped right now. So that is going to cost you 45 plus minutes. 45 plus minutes. Yes, and Pam is pointing out they put up barriers because people were using the breakdown lane there on the upper level. But Yeah, now they're stuck behind the breakdown in those barriers. So that's why you're not supposed to use the breakdown lane. Let's go over to Los Angeles if we can very quickly. Now we have a traffic collision at 4:20 in the morning, and this is in Baldwin Park on the 210 at San Dimas Street. There's a car fire now in central LA at the 110 in Manchester Avenue, and a traffic collision. This is in South LA right now on South Wilmington Ave at East Cashton Street. Well, again, today is St. Patrick's Day, but a beloved Italian tradition is coming up this week, St. Joseph's Day. It is celebrated annually in the United States on March 19th, in Italy too, by the way. It's a day known for honoring family, and it is celebrated with delicious pastries. This year, our good friends at Uncle Giuseppe's Marketplace, which, by the way, I remember when they had 3 locations. They now have a dozen locations. They're in New Jersey, Westchester, and Long Island, and they have 2 or 3 more to come. We'll confirm that number in a moment. It's celebrating the holiday in a sweet way while also kicking off their 25th anniversary celebration. Anybody with a name like Joseph, Josephine, Joe, Josie, hey, Joey, Giuseppe itself, you stop by, you prove that that's really your name, and they will give you a free pastry at any of their store locations. You just have to show a valid ID. Joining us now is a guy who's not named Joe, but Francesco, Frankie Mosca, research and development baker at Uncle Giuseppe's Marketplace. Good morning, Frankie. Good to see you, my friend.
Nice to meet you. I finally see you. I feel like you lived in my home for many years, growing up watching
Oh, well,
it.
thank you. It's funny. I was just with a number of people from all the TV stations last night, and many of them retired. And it was like the old folks in The Sopranos sitting around a table smoking a stogie, talking about the old days. That's really what it was like. That's another segment, I promise. But so now what, research recipes and whatnot? Is that what you do? Come up with new recipes to bake at Uncle Giuseppe's?
Yeah, so I research, develop, search. I do everything for the new recipes in the bakery, breads,
I love
cookies,
it.
cakes, all that
You
stuff.
have my fantasy job. You have my
Yeah,
fantasy job. When we're done here, we got to talk. We have to talk high hydration dough, please, because this is my new thing I've been into, like they do in Naples. So I got it up to 80%, and everyone looks at me like it's so sticky. It's a batter. I'm like, nah, 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 nah. Flip it, let it sit for 20 minutes, and you got a dough. I can't believe how that comes together on its own. That's another show. I'm going to open this right now because I've been waiting since yesterday. I'm like a little kid. These are gorgeous, my friend. Those
beautiful.
are gorgeous. So they call them sfingi in Italy, right? These are like cream puffs. They're what? They're made of parachute dough?
So it's powder shoe dough, but instead of being baked like a cream puff, you're gonna fry it in a deep fryer, and you get that explosion where you can fill them up with custard, pastry cream, or the ricotta cannoli cream, and you could decorate them on top with Marana cherries and orange strips and pistachio crumbled up. So it's very traditional Italian name day.
And for
And
those
also
who
name
don't,
day.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say part of it is I know that Saint Joseph is the patron saint of Sicily. Sicily is the largest state, if you will, in all of Italy, right? It has the biggest population, and physically it's the biggest. And between a quarter and a third of all Italian Americans trace their roots to Sicily. So it makes sense that of any of the Italian holidays to be celebrated here, it would be St. Joseph's Day, because that was the Sicilian, right? The Siciliani. Today, this is Father's Day in Italy. This is what it's
That's right.
considered, correct?
Yep, that's Father's Day, and we're right across from. My family comes from Calabria, so we're right across from Sicily. Very similar, but just different. Uh, you know, Finishing touches on all the pastries that we make.
I love it. Calabria, basically, you folks were Greek, right? The Greeks came over, and there was that was called Magna Graecia. That was considered the greater part of Greece back in the day. But Calabria is gorgeous, and the people are
Yeah.
beautiful, and you guys are amazing cooks there and bakers, clearly. When did you get into baking and realize this was going to be your career?
Well, growing up, my grandparents owned the bakery, my uncles owned the bakery, and I would go help my grandmother at 4 o'clock in the morning just to help her lift the batter of dough on the table to start the process. That's how it all started for me. And I
And you
went
fall in
from
love, right?
doing that and making cakes, and by the time I was 17, 18, I was making wedding cakes, and I don't know what happened, but I'm here now.
Well, but it's sort of, isn't it sort of like a magic chemistry? Oh, when I was a kid, my grandmother, my nonna, she used to do the same thing. On Saturday, she would make la spoia. That's what she would call it because they were Northern Italian. So they mispronounced sfoglia, which means leaf, to be spoia. That was their dialect. And she would make a dough that would fill a tabletop. It was about 8 feet across. I'm not kidding, with her Italian arms and the big battur, the big rolling pin, which is like that long. And I just watched this woman make this magic happen every week. And I thought, there's something special about these people who
We
come from Italy who can do this. So I
we
say
have
that to you and
similar
your family as
memories. I
well.
mean, I remember my grandmother making doughs and even pasta, the gnocchi, and I would see them on the bed sheet. I would go throw myself on the bed, and she would stop me because there's pasta or gnocchi all
Right.
over the bed sheet. So it was just one of those things where growing up Italian, you realize what it's all about, and it's in your bones, it's in your blood, and that's the passion and the love that we have for our food.
Exactly. And we have to get back to Uncle Giuseppe's, which, by the way, when I walk into, it is my version of Disney. When I walk into Uncle Giuseppe's, I literally feel like I'm at Disney. You guys are celebrating your 25th anniversary this year. God bless you and congratulations. You started with a few locations where you are on Long Island. I know now in New Jersey you have, I think, three, right? And you're
Yes.
growing. You're going to have another two or three opening up. So talk about the new ones that are coming up.
So the new ones coming up, gonna also be a couple in Jersey. We have two more coming on Long Island in this year. Hopefully, we get two in by this year. Yeah, we're growing as fast as possible. We just love throwing our tradition and passion and love for what we do. And the ownership and the leadership here it lets us go and create and make people enjoy our food.
Well, when I walk in, the people behind each counter make me feel like it's a local Italian deli or bakery.
Yeah,
Nothing feels supermarkety. That's the amazing.
yeah.
I don't know how you hire your people, where you find them. They're the most amazing people, and everybody makes me feel like I'm in a little neighborhood in Little Italy. It's like, stop
That's
for here. You got to try this. It is just a different environment. I love
yeah.
your store. Love it.
That's
It's
the
just, it
concept.
makes me feel
That's like
special.
growing up, you would go to your pork store, your bakery, your pasta shop, your ravioli store. We brought it all together and make it happen in all one store and bring the people along that enjoy what they're doing. Really have a passion
Uncle
for it.
Giuseppe's Marketplace. I just moved to Morris County in a little over a year ago, and my next door neighbor was giving me the lay of the land, and she said, there's an Uncle Giuseppe's not far from here. You got to try that place. I'm like, believe me, that's my Disney. I know my Uncle Giuseppe's. I am going to take us out with a big bite of the Sfingy. I'm going to open the
Want me to
top though,
join
so I don't get powder all over my suit. Excuse me.
you? I'll join you.
Oh
I
my
got my
God.
own. Ken.
Oh my God. Frankie, this should be illegal. You should go to jail. This is so good.
And then I got some on my nose, Kenny.
If you didn't get it on your nose, you didn't eat it right. Frankie Mosca,
I think you
God
didn't eat it right
bless
if
you.
you didn't get it on your nose.
Here, I'll help you. Here we go. It's on my nose. There you go, Frankie. Francesco Frankie Mosca, research and development baker at Uncle Giuseppe's. What's the website? Do you know the website off the top of your head?
UncleG.com.
UncleG.com, and you'll have all the locations, including the new ones coming up. I think you're opening
Yeah.
one in Philly too, right?
Somewhere near there. Yeah, I think we're in the works with that one.
Awesome. Check out Uncle Giuseppe's. Happy St. Joseph's Day, Frankie. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you. All right. It is St. Patrick's Day. When we come back, March is Women's History Month, and we're going to welcome three leaders of Middlesex County who all happen to be women. We're coming right back. Good morning. It's Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. It is St. Patrick's Day, although we were celebrating St. Joseph's Day a moment ago. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, and the West Coast, Los Angeles, San Diego. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
I don't want to rub it in, Mike, but that was one heck of a delicious
Good.
pastry cream. I didn't even try the one stuffed with ricotta. I just had the
Oh
pastry cream one.
man,
It was incredible. But I'm sorry, I digress. We had some serious weather coming
we
through
did.
last night. Now, what the remnant is just a little bit of cold for a few days?
Yeah, the clears out just in time for any activities or parades today because got a big one headed down Fifth Avenue, and with the temperature today, that will start off a little on the cooler side. Winds will be blowing all through the afternoon, but at least it'll be dry. The cold that sticks around over the next few days is contrasted by the big warm up out west. We'll talk more about that in just a bit, but it's this winter pattern that just doesn't seem to want to go away. We get another round of cold air into today, and it's that very warm weather out west that's helping to amplify the cold, if you believe it, providing that chill right through the rest of the week into Friday as spring arrives by then with that cold weather around. So the warmest of the week probably begins tomorrow and lasts through Friday out in the desert Southwest. There's not a cloud out there. It stays sunny, it stays dry, and with that very dry weather promotes temperatures that are above 100 across many locations. So extreme heat warnings out in the Southwest and Southern California as two high pressures just promote that warming all throughout the day into the rest of the week, each and every day. And it doesn't even cool off that much at night into the overnight hours, usually get a little bit of relief. So have to wait until the weekend for the next cold front to arrive, and that will start to provide relief to Northern California, the rest of the state featuring that cooler pattern. As far as the rest of the week here in the Northeast, we'll keep it, well, on the cloudy side and cooler side. We get sunshine today and tomorrow, passing clouds each afternoon. But I think the clouds make a big return for some overcast conditions into Friday, and then we eventually clear out by Saturday and Sunday. And early next week, start to see a little bit of a drier trend, especially as all those storms from last night well offshore. We actually had 3 tornado warnings last night in Burlington and Ocean County. I didn't see any reports of damage, meaning it was just radar indicated, but goes to show with the 71 mile per hour reported wind gusts over in Newark last night, certainly enough wind, and that wind sticking around for today. Not as gusty, but still breezy and dry through this afternoon. So no need to carry the umbrella around at least until Friday. Might have our next chance of a sprinkle, but beyond that, we start to clear things out into Saturday, and then Saturday morning has a little bit of light shower activity early on in the day. It's cool for the rest of the month in the Northeast. All of that heat trapped in the desert Southwest, where the dry weather is. Our weather in the Northeast, equal chances of wet weather. So I think we'll keep it pretty nice around here over the next few days, trying to get back to our average, Ken, which should be 50 by the end of the month.
All right, there we go. Let's keep our fingers crossed for 50, 50, 50. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Speaking of which, by the way, it's 33 degrees northern New Jersey, 32 in Trenton, and in California, it is 64 degrees, which is kind of warm for this time. Usually it's in the mid to upper 50s in California. Well, at 36 minutes past the hour, March is Women's History Month. Every month should be Women's History Month, but March is officially. It's a time to celebrate the achievements of women. In New Jersey's Middlesex County, we see that because of our West Coast viewers. History is being made right now. It is the only county in the state of New Jersey where all 3 constitutional officer roles are held by women. And joining us this morning are 3 of those leaders, Middlesex County surrogate Clarabelle Cortez, or Cortez. Do you pronounce it Cortez or Cortez? I'm sorry.
Cortez.
Cortez. There we go. I have a friend spelling it the same way who says Cortez. That's why I want to check.
No
Middlesex
worries.
County Clerk Nancy J. Pinkin and Middlesex County Sheriff Mildred S. Scott. Thank you, all our wonderful women, for being here this morning, and happy Women's Month.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. Thank you. And each of you has taken a unique path to public service, not an easy thing to do. What inspired you to pursue leadership roles in your communities? Let's start with Clarabelle, please.
For me, it was an easy transition. I actually have a background in media, and I always wanted to help the community. And when I was called to run for our school board, that's where I started, and then down council, it was just an easy transition. I wanted to give back to the community and use the skill sets that I learned in my 20 years in media and transition into public service.
Beautiful. And Nancy, how about yourself?
I started as I had a background in healthcare and I started to volunteer in the community. And I was working with a senator who was trying to keep kids from getting cigarettes from vending machines at the time. So I offered to volunteer to work for him. And he said, if you want to do it, you have to do this fellowship. So I became a health aide to the Senate Health Committee. And then from there, I went into advocacy and then I went uh, into local government, then state government, and now the county clerk.
There we go. And Sheriff, how about you, Mildred?
Well, I started off as an officer, one of the first females in the field of law enforcement when there were no
Uh-huh.
women in the field of law enforcement. And I was inspired by a police officer from Perth Amboy, the town that I grew up in. And I thought that's something I'd like to do. Back then, there were no women, and people were discouraging me from going into the field of law enforcement, but it's something I wanted for myself. But I knew that if I got into it, I would open the door for other females. And from that
Mhm.
point on, I kept going and going and going, and eventually got involved in politics. And here I sit in my sixth term as the sheriff of Middlesex County, and I am the first female sheriff in Middlesex County and the first African American sheriff in the state of New Jersey.
Amen. And a lot of people don't realize, I mean, a sheriff is a law enforcement individual who is directly selected by the people, right? So
That's,
you are voted by the people. So this you're selected by your constituents, which is a beautiful thing. That's one of the rarities in law enforcement. There is no other that I could think of. You would know more than me. All other law enforcement is hired by government. You're elected by the people. So that says
that's
everything.
correct.
And Claire,
That's
right? So and that's why it's great that we still have that in our system in the United States. Now, Clarabelle, you made history as the first female surrogate and the first Latina constitutional officer in Middlesex. So, what has that moment meant to you and to the community? Because I'm sure it means a lot to the women in the community too.
It meant a lot. Also, not just to the community, but also I'm a daughter of immigrants. So my parents came to
Oh,
this country to build a better life for our family. And, it's an honor to them and to my ancestors, but also to the community that has given us so much. So I hope to leave the door open for many other women to walk through that door the same way our sheriff has been a trailblazer. I mean, I'm here because of women like her. I want to make sure that the women that follow will be able to do that as well.
that's phenomenal. And Nancy, before you mentioned this, before you became clerk, you served 4 terms representing Legislative District 18 in the General Assembly. First of all, when you run, I've always wanted to ask an Assembly member this. When you have to run every 2 years, are you basically always having to run? That must be a big challenge right there.
Well, when I served on town council, my mayor taught me that you're running every day. And I have always run that way, running every day. You're there doing your work for the people, for the community, and for the state. So it doesn't matter if you're running every 2 years. I happen to have a 5-year term, but you're always running, you're always, doing your best.
Mm. When you speak to young women specifically, what advice do you give them in terms of you can do anything, that the barrier, don't let anything be a barrier? What kind of advice do you give them and what kind of questions do you get?
Well, I would like to say that you want to make sure you have a voice and your voice is heard. You just want to be sitting at the table and not to have a voice. So it's very important that we build self-esteem into our young women to make sure they understand that they do have a voice and their voice should be heard. Sometimes you go into a room and maybe a population of mostly males, and if a female may sit quietly there. But I think you've got to vocalize why you're there and why you want to be heard.
Yeah. I think,
I think
and my dad was a police officer. I'm sorry, please, you go. Please go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's important to offer ways to assist them, to be mentors, to show them where they can get internships, scholarships, how they can, they don't have to take it all in one fell swoop. They can work at it a little at a time and work their way up. And that we're here for them to support them in every way we can. And that we have the services in the community to support them, whether it's Middlesex County College, Rutgers University, Eagleton Institute, Ready to Run. All of these programs are here to support them and we're here to help them.
And this is open to anyone who'd like to jump in on this, do you still find the community feels certain roles are for women and certain roles are for men, or is that a vestige of, 40 years ago and let those people pass on, if you will, because there's a different thought process today?
Well, I think one example is that we just had only our second woman elected as governor in the state of New Jersey. And many people, when women do try to run for roles like that, they're like, are we sure we want a woman? We haven't had a woman president in our country, so there are definitely still barriers.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with
Anyone
that.
else?
And yeah, I
Mhm.
was just thinking here, being the new one in the group, I would say that we still have work to do. We've made a lot of progress. The advice that I would give to young ladies, and I'll just say this quickly, is don't take anything personal. Do everything the best way that you can, and find allies. We're very lucky here in Middlesex County that not only do we have women allies, we have male allies too. That's part of the leadership here.
I have to
Anyone
say,
else?
as
Yeah.
I would have to say, as perceptive coming from the field of law enforcement, when they were
Mhm.
dominated by males, totally dominated, and the more and more women have come into the field of law enforcement, and the door is opened, but I think we have to encourage them too. We definitely have to encourage them. And I think when you look at the male population, I think they're getting more acceptable, females being in the field of law enforcement. Of, of course, there are people there that still say it's a male's position and not a female's position.
Well, you look at yourself, and then look at New York City Police Commissioner Tish, who almost I can tell you, I probably know about 15 police officers in the NYPD. They all say, without one exception, she is the best police commissioner they've ever worked for. Period. That's it. Male, female doesn't matter. My dad was a police officer for a bunch of years, and he worked for a woman and said that she was the best lieutenant that he ever worked for. So I leave it at that. I think there's a lot that women have to offer that men just don't. And so that's why we need a yin and yang in society. Middlesex County Surrogate Claribel Cortez, Middlesex County Clerk Nancy J. Pinkin, Middlesex County Sheriff Mildred S. Scott, the great women of Middlesex County. Thank you for coming on this morning. It was an honor.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ken.
You bet. Have a great day. It is 44 minutes past the hour. When we come back, there's a proposed North Jersey National Heritage Area that would celebrate cultural tourism across the region. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. 47 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast for your city.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike, some serious weather came through our area in the Northeast, and then, of
Mhm.
course, serious weather coming into the Southwest and LA, all the way up to San Francisco, with temperatures getting into the three digits this week.
That's right.
Real
That's
serious.
right. Triple digit heat. Very, very unusual. Record heat out there. We had some record winds last night, 71-mile-per-hour gusts over in Newark just after midnight. That was the wind that you hear even throughout the early morning hours today. But the breezes will provide a drier wind today, and with that clearing, had a beautiful sunrise shortly and will allow for plenty of clear sky over the next several days. The 7-day forecast points to lots of mild weather returning in the 50s by Friday. Still chilly every morning. I think there's a little chance of some rain later Friday night into early Saturday morning, but once that clears, we will be holding right around 50 into next week. So average chill going into the next week and the first full week of spring as it begins on Friday, 52 down the shore. The rest of the forecast for you at the shore, chilly in the morning, warming up into the 40s in the afternoon. So none of the 70s that we enjoyed last week. It'll take a little bit of time before we see that again, Ken.
We'll take it. That's all right. It'll be here soon enough. I said this last year. Remember when we had bitter cold temperatures when we started the show January of 2025, right? And I said, yeah, that's it was 22. I have to think too. I said, you know what? Come July, we're going to say, oh, remember when it was only 6 degrees in January? All right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
keep thinking. Come July, we're going to say, remember when it was only 32 degrees in March? Yeah,
Yeah.
and what we're going to long for these days. So enjoy them as they're here. Mike Favetta, thank you very much, our meteorologist. We'll check back, sir. It is 32 degrees right now in both Trenton and northern New Jersey, 31 degrees in Vineland, and it's 33 degrees down the shore in Cape May. Los Angeles right now, 63, which is pretty mild for this time of morning. Usually it's in the mid to upper 50s. San Diego, 65 degrees already, and it's going to get up there to the mid to upper 90s in the southwest. Looking at traffic right now, we have disabled truck on the Goethals Bridge eastbound, right lane and shoulder are blocked. We have a crash on Route 42 southbound north of exit 13 in Deptford. We have emergency construction, Outer Port Street. I'm not sure where Outer Port Street is. They didn't list the town. We will get that for you. Crash on 1 and 9 southbound at Wilson Ave in Newark. The right lane of 2 lanes closed. And we have a power failure, Route 29 northbound by Sullivan Way in Trenton. All lanes are open, just a little bit of a slow go going through there. We have a down pole, Route 57, both directions west of Route 643, Franklin Township, all lanes closed. Down pole 206, both directions south of Brooks Boulevard, Hillsborough, all lanes closed. And we have a down pole on Route 45, both directions by Route 616 in Piles Grove Township, all lanes are closed. A lot of this because of the 71-mile-an-hour gusty winds overnight that we had, very serious. Last power pole down is at 206 in both directions by Quaker Road in Princeton. All lanes are closed through there. We look at the Hudson River crossings. Lincoln and Holland are both 35 minutes in. GWB's 45 to 60. Very heavy. Upper level on the right, lower level on the left. And looking at traffic in LA, actually, there is nothing to report right now in LA. That's a good thing. But nonetheless, those of you who were hovering through the heavy weather in the Northeast last night, I'm sure you heard the wind. Many people woke up from the heavy rains and the high winds, and that caused a lot of damage in the area. Again, a lot of power poles down, a lot of power out, and it's impacting also cable TV out for a lot. That's why we stream. We stream. We're not on cable TV. Our channel is what's called a fast channel, which you can get on the internet. And we're on almost 20 different platforms, not only on our website, but on a bunch of platforms and Roku and Fire TV and all of that. So you can get us just about everywhere without having to rely on cable. Pam, tell me if we have anything we're going to here. Pamela? We don't have the guess. All right. So tell you what we're going to do. I'm sorry, as we tap dance. We were talking a little earlier about the fact that today is St. Patrick's Day. And for those who don't know the history of St. People go give you a little history lesson while we're waiting to connect to our guest. We're having a little technical issue, and the gremlins are out because of the weather that we had last night. But St. Patrick was, you have people who say, well, he was an Irish saint. Well, yes, he was a saint of Ireland in the church, in the Catholic Church. But St. Patrick was actually, no, he was not Italian. You have Italians who say he was Italian. He was a Roman citizen. But remember, even people from Great Britain, what is now Great Britain, back in the day were Roman citizens. So his actual origin birthplace, there are a couple of different stories. One of them is that he was born in what is now Rome, what was Roman England, if you will, or some part of Great Britain that was under the control of the Romans, but he would have been a Roman citizen. That doesn't make him Italian. Remember, there was no Italy 2000 or 1500 years ago. Italy only started in 1869. Before then, it was just an association of city-states. A lot of people don't know that. They think, oh, there was always Italy. There was always Rome. There wasn't always Italy. Italia was the broader name for any place that spoke that accent or that dialect of Latin. We call it Italian today. And they were all a little different. That's why you can go to Sicily, they speak Italian one way. You go up north to Venice, they speak a very different way. Italian Americans will say, hey, you want some prosciutto? And you would say, well, that's not proper Italian. And you're right, but it is proper dialect. And many people who came from Sicily, they would say prosciutto because it came from presunto and Portuguese influence. And remember, southern Italy was controlled by Spain at one point. So there was an influence from the peninsula, Iberian Peninsula in southern Italy, what is now southern Italy. Anyway, I'm really digressing. Going back to St. Patrick. St. Patrick was a Roman citizen who made his way to Ireland. And we say he drove the snakes out. Well, what they mean by that is he baptized. In the Christian tradition and Catholic tradition, the belief is when you baptize somebody, you are exorcising the demons out of them. So casting out the snakes of Ireland is the way of saying he brought sanctity, he brought holiness to Ireland by bringing the Christianity to Ireland. Prior to that, the Irish people practiced paganism, which that was their form of sanctity. That's not to say that there was anything wrong with it for them. That was their way of worshiping God. And Patrick brought the Christian way of worshiping God to them. So that's neither condemnation or praise. It is just a fact. And that was the history that when you hear people say, oh, St. Patrick, he was Irish. No. He was Italian. No. And he drove the snakes out of Ireland. Okay, but that's how it happened. So if you're wondering the history of St. Patrick, now you have it. It is coming up on 55 minutes past the hour. We should mention also in the New York, New Jersey area, for over a month, commuters traveling between New York and New Jersey had been facing major changes with NJ Transit because of the Portal Bridge that was over a century old. I believe it was 116 years old. And it would often get stuck in the opposition so that shipping could go through. And then it couldn't go down again. And they used to come with a sledgehammer, no joke, to try to get these old rusty parts to work. In the meantime, thousands of commuters would be stuck on one side or the other on trains. The good news is they have replaced it with the Portal North Bridge over the Hackensack River. And this week they've gotten everybody back. So you need to check your NJ Transit schedule to see if you are on or close and to see what your times are for the trains, because they're back to what the old schedule was about 5 weeks ago. So that's the way to go with that. So that's good news for people who commute. You don't have to deal with the mess of jammed trains or canceled trains, etc. And in terms of what we have coming up in our New Jersey hour, for those of you on the West Coast, you could switch over to ONNJ.com or continue watching ONLACA.com. We have more of your news, which is coming up at the top of the hour. Then coming up in the next hour, we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, we're going to be talking about how micro businesses and businesses in the minority communities have traditionally not been funded, that it's hard to get financing if you are a startup tiny business or if you're a business started by a woman or somebody from the traditional minority communities. You go there, you go to a financer, a bank or a credit union, you ask for a loan and they look at you like you have four heads. Well, that's potentially changing. We're going to speak to somebody who has gotten together some financiers who will help people get microloans with micro businesses. Micro businesses are businesses with under 10 employees. And hopefully that will help change the face of things, because the vast majority of businesses in America are micro businesses. Coming up on 58 minutes past the hour, for those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching ONNJ, we will be back live with New Jersey news, opinion, traffic, and weather. Thanks for watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We'll be right back. Good morning. It's 8 a.m. Tuesday, March 17th, 2026, St. Patrick's Day. But my Italian-American friends, fear not. St. Joseph's Day, we know, is in 2 days. We're going to remember St. Joseph's Day. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Sunny but windy and chilly today. Highs only in the upper 30s. We had the meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
It's unbelievable, Mike, how we were around 60 to 65 yesterday, late morning, early afternoon, and how it is now struggling to get into the upper 30s today. Just amazing how a change can happen like that. And that's why we had the collision of the fronts last night and that heavy rain and wind.
You could thank a near Category 1 hurricane gust reported at Newark last night, just 3 miles per hour shy of hurricane gust, 71 miles per hour. Those winds at Newark Airport just after midnight, and the temperatures this morning, very cold in comparison, starting off just around the freezing mark. They dropped about 25 to 27 degrees just in the last 24 hours alone. And of course, that was after that very mild afternoon yesterday. Wind gusts still at the hour, holding in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range, but the wind's blowing in from the west, and that's going to provide a very dry feel. A lot of power outages too, anywhere from 2 to 3% of customers across most of the western half of New Jersey experiencing power outages this morning as those very, very gusty winds took over, and power crews still making those repairs this morning and restoring. So as far as the conditions are today, we started off nice and dry. We'll stay sunny for the better part of this afternoon, but it's still breezy and much chillier than yesterday. Highs only making it into the upper 30s in most of of the state, maybe even some low 40s down toward Homedale and there in Freehold. As far as the temperatures, we're going to hold in the 30s through this afternoon, maybe pick up a flurry down the shore before the day is through, but it'll be dry and sunny into tomorrow with a even colder start. Wednesday morning's actual air temperatures begin in the low 20s. Any wind will make it feel even colder, like the teens, and then even through Wednesday night, it's chilly. I think Thursday brings back a chance of some clouds, maybe a few sprinkles into Friday, and then it tries to get milder in the 50s, but Saturday morning might have a few rogue snow flurries before that clears out by the end of the day. So the next few days featuring dry, sunny weather, trying to make it back into the 50s by the first day of spring, Ken, on Friday.
All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you. And we have a lot going on in terms of traffic. We should let you know it's 36 degrees now, northern New Jersey, 33 degrees in Trenton, as the sun is up full. A lot of bright sunshine. Temp is trying to come up, but there's those winds. Temps are only going to make it to about 39, but the winds are going to make it feel colder than that. So bundle up. Just a few days. Then next week or the weekend, we're going to have springtime, and you'll see everything changes next week when it's officially spring, because we all know that Mother Nature recognizes what humans have detailed as spring. So everything will change because of it. If you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you in Arizona. All right, so we have a couple of bits of traffic to tell you about. Let's start with a disabled vehicle on the New Jersey Turnpike, I-95 local lanes, northbound, north of exit 69 by I-80 and Teaneck with the right lane blocked. You can see the traffic there in the middle of your screen as a result. We have debris on the Jersey Turnpike outer roadway southbound, south of interchange 10, which is Route 440 and Edison. The center lane is blocked. Always hate when there's a center lane blocked. We have a disabled truck on the Goethals eastbound. The right lane and shoulder are blocked. Emergency construction on Outer Port Street, which is closing the right lane, and a crash on 1 and 9 southbound at Wilson Ave in Newark. The right lane of 2 lanes closed. Power failures around the area, down poles around the area, all because of the 71-mile-an-hour gusts that we were getting last night. So just beware. And also, if you're heading out of town at Newark Airport, contact your carrier. There are a lot of delayed planes this morning and some cancellations because of all the severe weather that happened last night. Your Hudson River crossings right now, the Lincoln Tunnel reporting 40 to 45 minutes in, the Holland Tunnel 35, and the GWB is heavy all morning long. It's been a mess. Look at this. It is 45 to 60 minutes in, upper level on the right, lower level on the left, and it is not moving. I have a funny feeling we'll be looking at that red truck on the right side of the screen next time we come back. Let's hope not, for their sake. It is 8:04 right now, a threatening call. Let's see. Actually, I'm hitting the wrong thing. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. We're changing things. Here we are. Here we are. Now we start. Let's do that again. A new initiative is working to highlight the history, culture, and communities that make North Jersey unique, while also bringing new economic opportunities to the region. The proposed North Jersey National Heritage Area would celebrate local history, support artists, and promote cultural tourism across the region. And the effort is being led in part by the Northern New Jersey Community Foundation. Joining us now is Leonardo Vasquez, who is Executive Director of the Northern New Jersey Community Foundation. We say good morning, Leonardo.
Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Good. Do you go by Vasquez or Vasquez?
Vasquez.
Vasquez. All right. So
Vasquez.
your ancestors came from the Basque region. There you go. Way
Yep.
back when. Which, by the way, and mine too. Mine too. From Rosario, as a matter of fact. Well, that's a whole other discussion. It's a very cool thing. Chevoludo. Absolutely. All right. So it's great to have you on. Tell me about the Northern New Jersey Community Foundation's work.
Yeah, sure. So we are a community foundation that covers the 8 northern counties of New Jersey. So basically the Taylor Ham section of the state. We work to make North Jersey a better place for everyone here to live, work, and thrive. And we do that in a number of different ways. We work on making places better places to live. Do a lot with protect the environment. Do a lot with public art. We build alliances to help people address critical issues in their communities. And our most current initiative is one of our biggest initiatives since we did COVID relief is the Northern New Jersey Community Heritage Area Project.
So let's talk about that because that's fascinating. And by the way, let me just back up. You said that northern New Jersey is the Taylor-Ham section, which suggests that there's any other section, which we all know that the pork roll section has been outlawed years ago. In fact, check with the governor. You'll see it's been outlawed. All right,
Well,
now
my
I've just
friends in
caused
South
World
and
War
Central
III.
Jersey.
I've just created World War III here. Tell us about this North Jersey National Heritage Area, which is fascinating because we have so much history, all of New Jersey, but specifically North Jersey. Talk about that.
Yeah, so a North Jersey heritage area, a national heritage area is a place that's designated by Congress as having made a significant impact on the national story, on the American story. And besides the designation, it's also great for bringing money in and keeping money into the area. National heritage areas generate hundreds of millions of dollars in economic impact. They support thousands of jobs. They bring in tens of millions of dollars in taxes, and they also help build pride in a community. Now, there are about 62 of them around the country, including one in Jersey that's focused on the American Revolution. That's called Crossroads of the American Revolution. We want to really celebrate what's special about North Jersey. And there's so much here. The great history of industry. I mean, we were the cradle of industry in America. I mean, our work helped build modern metropolitan America. Innovation. There's so many innovations across so many levels. Immigration, migration, suburbia, and intentional communities. The first suburb was here in West Orange, and transportation and infrastructure. The turnpike was actually innovative. As much as we complain about it, it was innovative for its time. And the cargo container that was launched in Newark Seaport literally changed the face of waterfronts and cities around the world. So with the congressional designation, it's more than just the prestige. It also comes with up to $1 million a year in federal funding to support programming that helps celebrate and share information about these topics that we're talking about. And what we plan to do as the foundation is to distribute most of that money as grants to nonprofits and local governments. And what this is also going to do, beyond the money side of things, is it's going to encourage people to visit and learn more about all these great communities that have these wonderful histories that are not being told enough. People know about them, but not enough people know about them, and they're not being celebrated or shared in the ways they should be. Places like Belleville, which was the site of the first Chinese American settlement in the on the East Coast, Passaic, where the first commercial television studio was and was the home of the Dumont Network, which was one of the earliest commercial television stations. So there's going to be so much that's exciting about this. And then for us, as a foundation working to improve the lives of people throughout North Jersey, this is going to create opportunities for businesses, opportunities for people to enhance their own standards of living through cultural entrepreneurship, maybe by performances, by being tour guides, etc. So there's so much good that can come out of this, and this one of the reasons why we are so excited about this and our ability to benefit communities throughout the region.
Yeah, Leonardo, I'm a broadcaster for 40 years. You know that in Alpine, there is still the very first FM radio tower ever, and that's along the Hudson River in Alpine. It's that weird looking tower that's on the Hudson River that has three bars going across that way.
Oh
Those
yeah.
bars were the actual FM transmitter. 1949, Armstrong invented that, created FM broadcast. People think FM
Wow.
always existed. I know the kids are just into streaming today. But back in 1949, he came out with this high fidelity clear broadcast called FM. and that started in Alpine. So we had Edison, we had the Black Maria, the studio, first film studio. We had, I mean, this is the history. And I would dare say, if not for New Jersey, New York and Philadelphia would not be the cities that they are because
No.
we provided the resources, the food. If you didn't have the food grown here in New Jersey, you wouldn't have supported those populations. The food comes from here, right? The
Yeah.
people, the smarts, the food, that it's all from here. So New Jersey literally had an influence in changing not just those cities, not just this country, but the influence of a city like New York on the entire planet. We could talk all day about this. You and I, listen, when this is up and running, bring me on your board. I would love to be part of it. I'm so proud of New Jersey. It's not even funny. And I love what
Sure.
you're doing. So we got to have you back, Leonardo, only because we're out of time now for the segment. But we definitely need to have you back. Leonardo Vasquez, Executive Director of the Northern New Jersey Community Foundation. Please come back and we'll talk more about this. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Ken. Great to be here.
You
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. 58 minutes past the hour. I'm sorry, not 58 minutes, 13 minutes past the hour. And for those of you watching on New Jersey, we'll be back in just 2 minutes with your local news. Don't go away. Good morning. It's 8:15, Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. It is St. Patrick's Day. The wearing of the green. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, or today it's Ken O. Rosato. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. I need a good Irish soda bread recipe. You have one? Call us up, 888-658-0234. It doesn't have to be something controversial. We could talk that. I would love that. Let's go to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Right, Mike. So I don't know. Do you have Irish soda? Do you guys do the Irish thing, or do you just wait for the Italian thing?
We talk about the Italian thing March 20th for the next year. So, always planning like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do better next year? But yeah, corned beef, cabbage, like Pam, our director, mentions. It's part of the annual tradition.
Sure. And by the way, for those who don't realize that corned beef is not eaten in Ireland, they eat they eat pork belly, don't they eat? And that it's ham. I mean, it's like a not ham. It's like a bacon that they do, like an Irish bacon, I believe. Somebody will correct me on that. But I'm
I'm
almost
sure.
positive it is not corned beef. It is actually pork, a pork product that they eat in Ireland. It became corned beef because they couldn't get it here or whatever, or it was expensive or something. But it's delicious nonetheless. I could eat corned beef and cabbage all day long and tomorrow and the day after. A little mustard and a chunk of Irish soda bread. Put me in a corner and I'll just sleep it off. It's great. All right, sir. So what are we looking at? We had some severe weather come through last
We
night.
did. Very, very gusty winds with some tornado warnings that popped up across Burlington and Ocean County. Nothing confirmed, but a vast contrast from yesterday with all the fog and zero visibility. We're clear and unlimited visibility this morning, nice and sunny and bright to start the day. And it stays clear through this afternoon, but much colder and much breezier than yesterday. The dry air certainly feels nice, especially with all the sun. Temperatures making it up into the low 40s today. Breezy conditions through this afternoon, predominantly a westerly wind, and then tonight stays cool and clear through really the next few days. Not anticipating any rain to return until we get to Friday night into Saturday timeframe, with the wind chill already feeling like the single digits by this time tomorrow morning. Very chilly as that dry cold air works in. Look at that, even teens down toward the coast. Winter doesn't want to let go, and with our cold air lingering throughout Thursday and Friday, it seems like it'll take some time before we warm things back up into the first day of spring on Friday. Temperatures eventually make it back into the 50s this weekend, but again, it takes its time. There was that line that moved through last night, pushing eastward just after midnight. A lot of snow out in the upper Midwest, all of that pivoting eastward. So we'll enjoy the clear sky today, maybe have a few passing clouds by this afternoon, potentially a rogue snowflake or two down the shore, most of that dissipating on the newest computer model run. But even into the day tomorrow with a cooler feel, temperatures in the 30s and 40s, not exactly feeling like spring. Even into this weekend, with the weekend weather starting off a bit cloudy, staying on the cloudier side as we head into Sunday. Temperatures in the mid 50s, so that's an improvement. We're getting there for the first weekend in spring, but I think the 7-day offers a little bit more of a milder trend. We'll show you that coming up with your next weather update in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you. We should mention, we talked about this yesterday briefly. Our friend Ernie Anastas, who worked at Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 7, he might have even worked, I know he was at 9, and he might have even worked at
Mm-hmm.
Channel 4. He may have done the whole gamut.
May have, yeah.
But he was laid, well, he had his wake last night. Today he's being laid to rest, his funeral, but got to talk to his family. And it was like a who's who of the New York tri-state of broadcasters. And I don't know too many people who could bring 500 or 600 former and current broadcasters who worked their day or
Wow.
working their night to come to Westchester County where the wake was. These were people. There was one guy who drove down from Massachusetts. You probably remember Duke
Hmm.
Castiglione, who used to be on Channel 5. He was a sports guy. They drove from everywhere to come to There we go, Ernie. Thank you, Pam, for bringing Ernie up. God rest your soul, buddy. He was a sweetheart of a man, and he will be very missed. He was 82. For those asking how he died, Ernie died of pneumonia, but it might have been. I don't know the details. I know he had some kind of an autoimmune thing he had to fight, and I don't know if that's what. Maybe he couldn't fight the pneumonia as a result, but he looked. I know that sounds silly. People say he looks good. He looks as handsome laid out there as he does right on the screen. He is just a handsome
Wow.
man and a kind man. And he helped so many people in the business. And he was one of those guys who you never heard a gossip or a negative word from. He was as nice in person as he was on TV. So, our friend Ernie Anastas, may you rest in peace as of today and your family be blessed. Thank you, Mike. Do you remember you have any story you want to share with about
Yeah,
Ernie
that he
again?
could command the room. He would command a room. Every year for several years when we would attend the New York Emmys, and they would have the guest speakers come up. The random anchors would come up. This one, maybe you watched them. This one, maybe not. But then Ernie would come up, and everybody, did like there was a low drone. Everybody got quiet because you always wanted to hear what he would have to say, and he would command the room with a very just a larger than life kind of um, a big energy, if you will. And it was amazing to watch, and it was something I'll remember.
Yet there was never a drop of arrogance.
No,
Never.
never.
Never a drop. And by the way, Ernie played the accordion, and he was a great singer. If you go online, go to website, his Instagram, his Facebook, it's still all posted. The last post he did was not long ago. It was only a couple of weeks ago. And he sings like "Lady of Spain, I adore you." But he's got a great voice. He used to love to sing along in the car, and he would stream it. He would have the phone up, and as he's driving along, he would just sing to the radio because that was Ernie. He was a happy man, and he loved to share his positivity and happiness with everyone. May we all get a little bit on this St. Patrick's Day, a little bit of the Ernie Anastas joy in our lives. Ernie Anastas died 82. May you rest in peace. By the way, originally from New Hampshire. A lot of people don't know that. They assume he was from like Astoria because he's Greek. He was
Right,
from New
right, right.
Hampshire. Good man and a beautiful. Oh my God, his family's one more beautiful than the other. Good genes. All right, Mike, we'll check back with you, buddy. Thank you very much. It is 39 degrees now, northern New Jersey, 33 degrees in Trenton. Just a quick update on what we have in the area. Let's go over to the New Jersey Turnpike. We still have a problem right now by exit 69. There's a disabled vehicle on the Turnpike by I-95 local lanes northbound, north of exit 69 by I-80 and Teaneck with the right lane blocked. You can see how slow that's been happening for about 40 minutes now, folks going through that area. We have power failures and down poles all over the place because the winds gusted into the low 70s, 70-mile-an-hour range, almost hurricane force last night. With the heavy rains, I'm sure you heard it, you felt it on your homes. And so you have a power failure, Route 29 northbound, south of Sullivan Way in Trenton. All lanes are open. We have a down pole, Route 45, both directions by 616 in Piles Grove Township. All lanes are closed. Crash on 1 and 9 Wilson Avenue intersection in Newark with the right lane closed, and a crash on Route 42 southbound north of exit 14 Creek Road in Belmar. The right shoulder is closed there. Something happening on the Garden State Parkway right now at exit 102. They're calling it operational activity. So that's a generic term. So what that means is you have like repair crews, roving repair crews. That suggests to me either there's a downed pole or a piece of fencing, the barrier that may have come down because of the high winds, or it could even be a road sign, one of the big road signs overhead or on the right as you're driving down the highway on Garden State that may have come down. So that's at exit 102, that area. They're working on that. That might cause some brake checking. And it goes on and on and on, all weather related from overnight. Your Hudson River crossings right now, the Lincoln Tunnel is now going to cost you 40 minutes in, 30 at the Holland, and the GWB upper and lower has been jamming all morning. It looks like it's improving a little bit, but earlier it was 45 to 60. Now we're being told it's 40 minutes in, upper level on the right, lower level on the left. Well, a threatening call triggered a lockdown at Glen Rock High School last Friday, the 13th. Police, SWAT, and the bomb squad responded to search the building. The same building also houses Glen Rock Middle School. Authorities later figured out the call was a swatting incident. Nothing dangerous found, and students dismissed as usual. Security lines grew longer at Newark Liberty during a federal shutdown. TSA agents throughout the country just missed their first paycheck since Democrats in Congress would not fund Homeland Security. Workers are being forced to work without pay again for the third time in a year. About 300 TSA employees actually quit all around the country so far. They don't make a lot of money. TSA agents make between $35,000 and $70,000 a year. So if you deprive them of a paycheck, it's not like they have a big bank account they could rely on to get by. Security wait times have been averaging about 30 minutes at Newark, over 2 hours at some airports around the country. Transportation officials are urging plane passengers arrive at the airport 2 to 3 hours before takeoff time just to be safe. New Jersey State Supreme Court has issued a major ruling on abuse cases. Districts can now be held responsible for teachers' sexual abuse in some cases. The court created a new 3-part test for what it calls vicarious liability. Survivors now have 2 legal paths to sue school districts. Experts say the decision could affect many pending abuse lawsuits. A woman shot and killed by police early Monday during an incident in the Lanoka Harbor section of Lacey Township along the Jersey Shore. Officers responded at 2 a.m. to a home on Hemlock Drive for a reported medical emergency involving the caller. During the encounter, an officer fired a shot, striking the woman, who was later pronounced dead. Investigators say they recovered a knife from the scene. The woman's identity and details from the incident have not yet been released, and the shooting is under investigation. New Jersey ranks dead last in at least one federal statistic. money to help bridge healthcare shortfalls. The Garden State will receive from the federal government $147 million. That's the lowest amount among all 50 states. The special health fund was created after cuts in a budget law signed by President Trump. The money covers only a small part of a projected $3.6 billion healthcare shortfall. The reason for the low funding amount? Well, at least 10% of New Jersey's population is made up of illegal migrants, and they are not legally eligible to receive federal health care funds. But New Jersey has gone ahead and given the health care to all their minors, their minor children, and at least some adults who are in the state illegally. So the federal government says, hey, you want to do that? We're not going to give you any reimbursement. So you could do it with your own money. That's what the feds are saying. Don't expect reimbursement from the federal government when it's clearly illegal. Governor Mikey Sherrill has proposed $100 million in state funds to be set aside for counties to handle Medicaid and SNAP costs. Meanwhile, many to the political right say the state can save hundreds of millions of dollars simply by not giving free health care to illegal migrants who should not legally be here. It is coming up on 8:30. When we come back, we will have lots more news, traffic, and weather for you. And also, we have our special guest coming up, as we know that small businesses are the backbone of our economy. But for many, especially in the minority community, getting access to funding can be one of the biggest hurdles to success. We're going to talk about that and more when On New Jersey Mornings comes back in 2 minutes. Good morning, Tuesday, March 17th, 2026, St. Patrick's Day. We're looking at temperature 36 degrees right now at 8:30, and I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Morning. Sunny, windy, but chilly today. Highs only barely making it to 40. It'll feel colder than that with the wind. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the detailed Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike. So we're looking at winds again today, in spite of the fact that we had all that wind overnight. You'd have thought Mother Nature is done with the wind, but not so much.
Yeah, a little bit of a gusty, colder wind today. It was breezy with the rain last night, and of course the thunder that rolled through New Jersey, but now featuring clear sky through this afternoon, and that sunshine really coming down across southern New Jersey, helping to temperatures climb only into the lower 40s. So this is about 7-8 degrees below average. With the windy conditions throughout today, we'll probably still see the tree pollen back to the moderate level. Even though it's colder, the trees respond to the length of day. to help create that pollen. And with temperatures a little bit cooler, nowhere near the record high, that'd be nice, of 80 degrees. We'll keep it chilly through this afternoon, and with that drier feel, yeah, feel more like spring is on the way, especially each and every day with that persistent dry weather. Once we get to the weekend, there's a little bit of a chance of some rain, especially Friday night into Saturday morning. Could see some showers roll in, but until then, we should be nice and dry, even though a few flurries may pass us by to our north. Nice high pressure takes over for tomorrow into Thursday, bringing back loads of sun, and then by Thursday into Friday, could see some clouds increase, a little bit of a grayer feel, and then with Saturday morning having a little bit of wet weather move on through, I think the clouds ultimately clear out by the afternoon, bringing back a drier finish to the weekend. Just takes a while to warm up, especially with the temperatures climbing only to 56 on Friday, but we'll stay in the 40s until that time. And then the weekend looks a little drier, 56 by Sunday afternoon and back to 50 on Friday. The shore points maybe a degree or two cooler, but overall still relatively dry heading into the first week of spring, Ken, beginning on Friday.
All right, first day of spring. Can't wait. I'm counting down. It better be nice. Better be. I'm threatening Mother Nature right here on camera. Better be nice. Otherwise, what, Ken? I don't know. Thanks, Mike. We'll check back, sir. 35 degrees northern New Jersey, 33 degrees in Trenton. It's 33 degrees now in Vineland and 32 degrees in Cape May. In terms of traffic, we have a crash on 109 southbound at Wilson Avenue, Newark, with a right lane of 2 lanes closed and a power failure impacting traffic. Oh, there you go. Thank you very much, Pam, for that. We have a power failure rather on Route 29 northbound south of 579 in Trenton. All lanes are open, but that is causing, because the lights are out, the traffic lights, that's causing a lot of delays through there. Down pole on Route 45, both directions, by 616 in Pilesgrove Township. All lanes are closed. We have operational activity on the Garden State Parkway right now. So that could mean that the winds last night blew down a sign or caused debris to go on the roadway, et cetera. And that's in the vicinity of exit 102. So within a mile or two on either side of exit 102 on the Garden State, there are going to be roving repair crews going around. It goes on and on and on with debris on roadways, disabled vehicles, emergency construction, down power poles, and power outages throughout the Garden State. It's happening more in the southern half of the state than the northern. But nonetheless, just be aware of that. Give yourselves extra travel time. You don't want to encounter that and make that or have that make you late for work as a result. Your Hudson River crossings, the Lincoln is still costing us 40 minutes in. The Holland is now 35, and the GWB upper and lower moving a little bit better, but still heavy. As you can see, it's going to cost you 45 minutes into Manhattan. 8:34 is our time, and small businesses are certainly the backbone of our economy. But for many, getting access to funding can be one of the biggest hurdles to success. Or a lot of people, they have just enough money to open the business, but you need to finance that business for a year or two before you start making money. And that's why so many businesses go out of business. In fact, micro businesses, fewer than 10 employees, they make up 95% of all businesses in America. Yet those businesses are denied funding at more than twice the rate of larger companies. Well, there's a new nonprofit called Bright Street, BRIGHTSTREET, all one word, Bright Street. They're working to change that by providing affordable capital, mentorship, and hands-on support for entrepreneurs who've historically been left out of traditional lending opportunities. Rob Falzon is the co-founder of Bright Street. We say good morning to you, Rob. Are we, I'm not hearing Rob. All right, we're going to fix that. Go ahead. Talk to us now, Rob.
Good morning, Ken. You okay? Great.
Yes, now we got you. So please tell us what inspired you to launch Bright Street. Did you solicit investors or venture capitalists, or did you also encounter that maybe yourself at some point in your life where you couldn't get finance? You said, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah, it started, Ken. I've worked in Newark for most of my career, and so and that's where we've piloted this, and we're expanding across the state. But it was the simple observation that there are thousands of these small businesses operating in Newark, and then operating in cities like Newark across New Jersey, that, as you pointed out, are not succeeding. They're not growing. They're often failing. The statistics are daunting. A quarter of them fail after a year in being in business, and after about 5 years, half of them are gone. And so it was the opportunity to change those odds on behalf of those companies so that we could help with wealth creation for individuals, community vibrancy, and then ultimately growth for both the communities and for the state.
Yeah, and that really makes a difference. So many people have those great ideas, they're excited, they're motivated, and then they take whatever money they've saved, right? They sink it into their business, but they don't have the long-term financial plan. They don't have the money to get them through a couple of years, and they can't grow, then they get stuck, and then they go out of business and they lose it all. And that just discourages them, and it doesn't help anyone because the company doesn't grow, you can't get the employees going. But you guys do more than just help find finance, right? You give them some advice and you help them along the way that way.
Yeah, so what we find, Ken, is if you just give these small businesses capital, or even similarly, if you just provide coaching and services to them, that does not change the outcomes that I just described. What changes the outcomes is when you bring these two things together. And so our model is based on an integrated and holistic approach. So we're providing
Mhm.
loans, and incidentally, they're accessible to the 95% that's generally not qualifying for lending. They're getting turned down, as you point out, at twice the rate of other small businesses. We're making it affordable, so it's a prime interest rate loan, not a double digit interest rate loan. But then we're matching that with a series of other components to help ensure their success on a go forward basis. So one, the loan has a grant component to it. So if they're successful in our program and they properly sort of service their loan throughout that program, we're going to take a portion of that loan and we're going to grant it back to them at the end and put that into a retirement account for them. So we begin to build wealth for them alongside their business. Secondly, it's around education and assistance. So technical assistance. These businesses need help with technology, their websites, digital marketing, accounting. There's a series of things where we can help engage with them to improve the sophistication of their businesses in order to help them to grow so that it goes beyond just that solo entrepreneur and they begin to hire employees, which creates that vibrancy in the communities that we're looking for. We also want to make sure that they have access to the things that they need holistically to succeed individually. So banking, retirement savings, insurance, those are all important components to long-term financial stability. So we bring that to bear as well. And then finally, we have peer networking and mentoring. Being an entrepreneur can be very lonely and isolating. Bringing entrepreneurs together to share their stories, their lessons learned, to help each other improve is a really powerful impact. And then combining that with having coaches for these businesses is what we think is the formula of bringing all those things together ensures that we're not just lending them money, we're actually investing in these businesses to ensure that they beat those odds, succeed individually, grow, hire employees, create community vibrancy, add economic growth, become self-sustaining, and create wealth on their own.
Rob, I can see you haven't given this any thought. It's amazing because I used to do. I've had companies and I've gone. I remember in the beginning going to the Small Business Administration, and you used to get a lot of great retirees from very successful companies who could coach you and tell you how to apply for loans. And that's still a great thing, but that is very stuck in the older business model that is not 2026. There was no social media back then. There was no AI back then. It's a different world. And that's why hearing you talk about this is exciting because it sounds like the people on your team are very much plugged into what's happening right now. So these people can take advantage of AI. I sat down the other day as an experiment with some people I work with here at the company. And I just talked, in fact, it was Claude, Claude is one of the newer AIs. There are about 100 AIs out there right now. And they offer some free, for the first month, you get some free stuff. And I asked Claude to create a logo for me. And it did in about 10 seconds. Then I said, you know what? I don't like that graphic. Could you make the left side of the left letter K, could you make that a little thicker? 10 seconds later, gave me I mean, now to get a graphic, you had to go to a graphic design artist, pay a couple of $1,000, and then to tweak it, it took another week. I mean, this was done instantly. Instantly. It's a different world. And so the
It
fact that
is,
your
and
team
it's really interesting because it's a pivotal time to be doing something like this. Because to your point, historically, for these businesses to get access to the kind of tools that they needed, it was not inexpensive. You're hiring, consultants. You're relying on volunteers. Now, listen, we have a very robust volunteer network. These are people who can help teach how to use the AI. We have a whole program we're setting up around how do we optimize marketing spend and earned media and social media presence using an AI engine that applies to each and every business so they can expand their sales. That's one of the capital is a huge issue for these companies, getting it up front. To your point, many of them have relied up front on credit card debt, or these predatory lenders that are online and they're charging 30% interest rate. So getting them access to the capital up front is absolutely critical. Helping them to then manage that capital and cash flow over a multi-year period is really critical. But then right after that, they plateau out. How do I grow my sales from that standpoint? I've got my friends and family. I sold to them, but now I need to expand further. And so, we're at a point now where the ability to do that using technology, things like AI, is unprecedented. And we want to be able to introduce that into these entrepreneurs so that they can, in fact, grow.
And you're helping people also in communities who have the ideas, they have the zeal, they have the energy, and because traditionally they don't have the generational wealth, et cetera, members of the minority communities in Newark who are brilliant and they have the idea to be successful, they just need that little helping hand to get going. And that's one of the other things you're helping them get by with, right? You're helping them in.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to ultimately be in 8 of the largest urban markets across New Jersey, starting in Newark later this year. We'll hopefully be in 2 more. We're going to expand outside of Newark. Our pilot's going extraordinarily well, so we're ready to expand outside of Newark into our next 2 markets. And the challenge isn't necessarily with business formation, Ken. I mean, the statistics are actually showing that business formation is on the rise. It's accelerating. The problem is making those formations successful. So it's like, okay, people have ideas. They have the energy. They have the motivation. They need the help to turn those ideas into successful businesses that are sustainable in the long term. And that's where we're trying to help. Is like they'll form the business. We can then help them to take that and make that a successful long-term business.
Rob, what's your website for everybody to contact you?
So www.brightstreet.org.
All right, Rob Falzone, it's co-founder, of Bright Street. Again, it's all one word, BRIGHTSTREET. And this will be on our website so people could see this over and over again. They could get that web address. Thank you, Rob, for coming on this morning. Great idea. And you're going to be helping a lot of businesses and the community at large. We appreciate you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
You bet. It's exciting. It's exciting to see this because this is a whole new thing for us. It's a whole new world, too. And when we come back, as we continue celebrating Women's History Month, we're highlighting women whose leadership helped shape industries across New Jersey. We'll explain. Sunny, windy, chilly today, highs upper 30s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with a full Garden State forecast. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:46. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Sunny, windy, chilly today. Highs only upper 30s. It'll feel colder than that, blustery. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
I mean, Mike, how often do you get to use the word blustery? Seriously, isn't it a wonderful word?
It's a wonderful word in winter. Technically, yes, it's still winter for those that believe in the astronomical calendar of winter. But for meteorological winter that ended on February 28th, we're looking forward to spring. We need some warmth around here. We could also use some dry weather because it's been pretty wet over the last 30 days. More than 150% of average rainfall fell there in Newark. And that little blue dot just around Trenton, that's over 200% of rain. So lots of wet weather just in the last 30 days, even going back a little further in time. Still technically a drought, but I think these numbers will come down as we head into the next few weeks with the drier weather moving in our direction. Look at the cool down that's ahead, especially through the end of March, March 31st, bringing back a little bit of that cooler feel, but it's the heat out in the west that persists. So you'll probably keep hearing about that record heat out there for at least the foreseeable future. Pretty cool throughout the afternoon today, but with the sunshine trying to warm us up, it's the winds that will make you feel that much cooler. The winds relax for tomorrow. Temperatures rise into the mid-50s throughout Friday and Saturday. And the first weekend in spring, well, feeling like spring. Mid-50s, a little cloudy, maybe some early morning sprinkles Saturday, and then clearing with sunshine into next week. Monday and Tuesday holding in the low 50s and upper 40s. So a pretty average feel heading into next week. No big storms on the horizon after yesterday. And those whipping winds of 71 miles per hour in Newark will keep it a little calmer over the next few days, Ken.
You have to say it like Stewie says it in Family Guy. Whipping winds, whipping winds. Only Family Guy aficionados would get that. All right, sir. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Thank you, and have a wonderful day and stay warm. Thank you. It is 37 degrees northern New Jersey, 33 degrees in Trenton, and it's 34 degrees now in Cape May. Well, in terms of traffic, what we have is an operational activity reported. That means they're fixing road signs or cleaning up debris on the Garden State Parkway and on the Jersey Turnpike. So on the Garden State, it's happening at exit 102 vicinity. And on the New Jersey Turnpike, it is by interchange 12. Linden State Police say there's a traffic slowdown in progress. So if you've ever seen a cop come onto the highway and zigzag left, right, in front of you, and it makes you like, come on, I want to get by. I got to get to work. They do that. That's their way of slowing you down. They slow down traffic so that up ahead, there's a work crew. And this way you don't zoom into the work crew. So just so you know. We have emergency construction on Corbin Street right now in Newark from Kellogg Street to Outer Port Street. All lanes are closed. A lot of this happened from that significant weather we had overnight. Downpour right now, Route 45, both directions at 616 in Pilesgrove Township. All lanes are closed. We have a power failure, Route 29 northbound south of Sullivan Way in Trenton. All lanes are open. And then we have debris on the Garden State Parkway. On the New Jersey Turnpike outer roadway southbound south of interchange 10, which is by 287 in Edison. Center lane is blocked. On and on and on it goes. We've got about 10 more down poles or electric outages in various parts of the state, all due to the severe weather we had overnight. In terms of your Hudson River crossings right now, the Holland Tunnel is still going to cost you about 35 minutes in. The Lincoln Tunnel is 35 to 40. GWB upper and lower levels moving a little tiny bit better, not much. That's going to cost you about 45 minutes in. Upper level on the right, lower is on the left. European allies are reluctant to join U.S. efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. A waterway was disrupted after the U.S. conflict with Iran. President Trump urged NATO partners to help secure the route, but when asked, said the U.S. does not need anybody else to win the fight. Several countries urged that diplomacy should come first. Unfortunately, Iran did not get that message, saying they would never use diplomacy with the U.S. They don't want to talk to us. All while their nuclear bomb program was all but completed. They had enough nuclear material to create about 11 warheads. that they could put on intercontinental missiles that would blow up most of Europe and a good chunk of the United States. So this is why we had to act. Europe likes to sit on its hands and do nothing and wait for the US to do something. And then they kvetch about us doing something that ends up saving their life. 8:51, and President Trump said the U.S. could soon reach a deal with Cuba or take other action. The comments come as tensions between Washington and Havana remain high. Cuba's current dictator, Miguel Diaz-Canel, said Friday the country had open talks with the U.S. now that it is starved of oil and gas and the island has had no electricity for months. Diaz-Canel said that he hoped the negotiations would move the two longtime rivals away from confrontation. The country's economic crisis has worsened since it was cut off from free Venezuelan oil shipments. See, the way the deal worked, Venezuela used to give Cuba ships full of oil so they could run their electricity and cars and everything. Cuba, in return, would give the now ousted Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro a personal army to protect him from his own people so that he wouldn't get overthrown. Well, now that Maduro is in U.S. custody, the oil deal is off. Cuban citizens are paying the price. All that could change if their regime were simply to switch sides and become a U.S. ally. Cuba is an amazing place. Cuban people in the United States are the most amazing and wonderful people. Cuba as an island nation, if it were not communist right now, would be one of the hot spots to vacation on the planet. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles announced that she has been diagnosed with breast cancer. Doctors detected the cancer early. She says the prognosis is strong. Wiles will continue serving at the White House during treatment. President Trump and members of the cabinet have publicly offered her support. What do they say about not being entitled to your own truth? Somebody needs to talk to California Governor Gavin Newsom about it. He was recently roasted for making an extraordinary claim that Florida and Texas, not California, are the real high-tax states. Really? Newsom made the claim on stage at the South by Southwest conference Sunday in Austin, where he claimed that poor people in Texas are taxed more than the wealthiest people in California. By the way, Austin is as liberal as Los Angeles. It's a very, very liberal enclave, even though it's in Texas. It happens to be the liberal enclave. If there's ever going to be a place where a communist or socialist gets elected in the state of Texas, it's going to be in Austin. Houston is a close second, but Austin number one. Newsom then added that Florida is the other, quote, regressive tax state. How do you figure, Gavin? Fact check. Florida and Texas, you know what their state income tax is? Right there. No matter how little or how much you make, there is zero state income tax. You know what California's highest state income tax rate is? 13.33%. So the way he gets away with trying to say that Florida has regressive taxes is he's saying that because a poor person gets taxed the same as a rich person, in other words, nothing, there's zero tax for poor or rich, that's regressive. It's unfair to the poor person that the rich person also not pay taxes. Well, guess what? If you get your services, whether you are poor or rich, what difference does it make? See, people who are super far to the left believe it is necessary to be punitive against people who've worked hard, come up with ideas, risked their own investment, and made money. They believe that those people should not be allowed to keep the money that they rightfully and legally earned. So therefore, those people, no matter what, whether it's needed by the state or not, those people need to pay more money. Well, that is what has destroyed economies all over the world for decades. It's not the way it works. So if you look at a state like Florida or a state like Texas, Texas is the second most populous state, Florida the third, and they're among the most financially successful in the United States for a reason. An Afghan national with a criminal record in the U.S. illegally died in a hospital after being detained by ICE. Afghani Mohammed Nazir Paktwal had been arrested near his home in Richardson, Texas, while taking his kids to school. Family members say he worked with U.S. forces in Afghanistan before moving to the U.S. in 2021, but his legal status had only been temporarily granted, and ICE said that he was arrested for SNAP fraud and theft, so he had to be deported. His death is under investigation. At one point, he was one of the most prominent faces of the U.S. Border Patrol. Now former Commander-at-Large Greg Bovino is retiring. Bovino stirred up a lot of headlines after leading the surge on illegal aliens in Minnesota. President Trump had reassigned him to the position of Chief Patrol Agent for the El Centro sector. And he's a native of Newark, and now he's an Academy Award winner as well. Amazing star, amazing actor, and amazing New Jersey. And Michael B. Jordan won Best Actor at Sunday's Academy Awards, the 98th annual. That was his first Oscar, by the way. And I'm sure there'll be many more because he deserves it. Jordan starred as two things. He played two parts, twins, in the film Sinners. The first time Oscar winner graduated from Newark's Arts High School in 2005, and how quickly he became an Oscar winner. Just a great actor. City leaders and schools have praised Michael B. Jordan as an inspiration to local students. We're proud to have him as a New Jersey native, just a megastar. What a handsome son of a gun, too. What a megastar. He does New Jersey proud. It is 31 degrees in northern New Jersey, 33 degrees in Trenton. The time is 8:57. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says that we will have sunny, windy, very chilly conditions today. Highs upper 30s to about 40, but the winds are going to make it feel much colder than that. It is chilly, but just a few more days. Friday is the first day of spring. So keep your fingers crossed and keep looking ahead to Friday. And that is on New Jersey Mornings for your St. Patrick's Day, Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. I'm Ken Rosato. Remember, you could stream us at onnj.com, onlaca.com for the West Coast, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And now we're streamed live on Substack, Rumble, Twitch, Local Now. We'll catch you again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Tell all your friends about us, please. We want to keep growing. Till tomorrow, have a wonderful day. Bundle up, stay warm, and thanks for watching on New Jersey Mornings. See you tomorrow.